Hello, everyone. I'm Dudu. Today, we're going to talk about something special, maybe a little sensitive, but definitely from the heart. A few days ago, I had afternoon tea with a few sisters. I wanted to talk about what clothes to buy for the season change, but we ended up talking about those physiological needs that we are usually too ashamed to talk about, but they really exist. You might say, what's there to talk about? But I tell you, after listening to their stories, I realize that no matter how decent and reserved a woman is, at the moment of desire, she may do something that even surprises herself. Today, I will tell you these stories not for recognition, but for understanding. After all, we are all living people with 7 emotions and 6 desires, right? Let me make it clear that we are not talking about this today to encourage anyone to do anything out of the ordinary, but just to let everyone know that some struggles and helplessness really exist. If you have any ideas after listening, let's talk slowly in the comment area. Don't come up and throw bricks, okay? One, the software shock of a highly educated sister. How fragile is respectability in the face of desire? Let's talk about Sister Lynn first. She is the most dignified one among our group. She is 42 years old, a university professor, wears thin frame glasses, always speaks slowly, and always tells us about female independence and self-worth. Usually when we talk about some dirty jokes, she has to frown and say vulgar. That afternoon tea, she started first, and she shocked us all as soon as she opened her mouth. She said that her husband was sent to the United States on a business trip last year, and he was away for 3 months. The first 2 months were fine. She was busy with classes and revising papers, and her life was quite fulfilling. But in the 3rd month, it happened to be the days when her menstrual period ended. In her words, "I don't know what happened. It felt like there was a ball of fire in my body, burning people and making them sit still. It was fine during the day, but it was over at night." Lying on the empty big bed, she tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. Her mind was in a mess. She couldn't think of any academic reports or teaching plans. She just had one strong thought. She tried to read books, but the words in the books seemed to come alive and she couldn't read them at all. She tried to do yoga, but she became more and more irritated and finally threw away her yoga mat. Do you know that feeling? Sister Lynn's hands were shaking as she held the teacup. It's like there are countless little bugs crawling in the bones. You want to catch them, but you can't catch them. You can't wait to find something to vent your anger. What made her most upset was that one night she picked up her phone for some unknown reason and downloaded a dating app that she usually despised the most. It was the kind of app that everyone knew was used for dating. She had scolded us before, saying that this thing was a cancer that corrupts social atmosphere. But that night she not only downloaded it, but also spent half an hour filling out the information. When choosing the photo, she deliberately picked a photo of her wearing a dress to look gentler. As soon as the software was opened, the message came. A man greeted her and said he was near her home and asked if she wanted to go out for a drink. Sister Lynn said that her mind was blank at the time, and she replied, "Okay," without thinking. The two of them agreed to a place, a fast hotel near her home. Sister Lynn began to change her clothes, and her hands were shaking. When she was wearing a skirt, she suddenly remembered something and asked the man to send a photo. Now that I think about it, I really have to thank that man. Sister Lynn suddenly laughed a little helplessly. He sent a selfie, and I saw it, and I was sober instantly. The top of his head was bald, with only a little hair on both sides, like a boiled egg, and he was grinning, not to mention how disgusting it was. She said that at that moment, the evil fire in her mind was extinguished, and all desires were gone, leaving only gratitude. She made up an excuse, saying that she couldn't go because of something urgent, and quickly deleted the man and uninstalled the software like a nightmare. Don't laugh at me. Sister Lynn looked at us with a serious look in her eyes. When the energy comes up, it's really uncontrollable. I teach ethics and usually regard morality as more important than anything else, but at that time I forgot all about decency, dignity, and principles. I had only one thought in my mind: find someone quickly. The man was a little more handsome. I might really take that step. None of us spoke when we heard it. Really, I always felt that this kind of thing was far away from us before, but when Sister Lynn said it, it was so real and specific. Suddenly, I felt that even the most decent people would be swept away by desire. True loneliness that cannot be solved by toys. Self-pull in the middle of the night. After Sister Lynn finished speaking, Sister Jiang sighed and said that she could understand that feeling, but her choice was different. Sister Jiang is in finance. She is 45 years old this year. Her husband runs a factory in another place and comes home 2 or 3 times a year. She said that she has long been accustomed to sleeping alone, but sometimes that kind of physical desire will still come particularly violently. I always have toys in my drawer. Sister Jiang said calmly, unlike Sister Lynn, who was so entangled. They were all bought online and packed very tightly for fear that the courier would find out. She said that when she first used it, she thought it was very convenient. She could use it whenever she wanted, without having to look at people's faces or worry. But after a long time, she found something wrong. No matter how advanced that thing is, it is still a dead thing. Sister Jiang stirred the coffee in the cup. It can solve temporary needs, but it can't solve the emptiness in my heart. Sometimes after using it, I lie there looking at the ceiling, and my heart is even more uncomfortable, and I feel very pitiful. She told us a story. Last winter, her daughter went to her grandmother's house for the winter vacation, and she was left alone at home. That night she worked overtime until 10 o'clock and was exhausted, but after lying down, that familiar feeling came again. She took out the toys and operated them step by step, but something was wrong that day. After tossing for a long time, not only did it not relieve her, but she became more irritable. She threw the toy aside and sat on the bed crying. It's not because of unsatisfied desires, Sister Jiang wiped her eyes, but because I suddenly felt very lonely. Think about it. In the middle of the night, you are facing a cold plastic thing, and after you finish, it is still cold, won't say a word to you with a blanket, and won't even move. That feeling is more uncomfortable than having no one. She said that since then, she knew that this thing can only be an emergency solution, but can't solve the fundamental problem. Once she worked overtime for a week in a row, she was tired, and she was not feeling well those days. She used the toy at night, but she still didn't sleep well all night. When she went to work the next day, she saw black in front of her eyes and almost fainted in the elevator. The doctor said I was overtired, but I know that it was not just tiredness, but also the feeling of depression in my heart. Sister Jiang said, a woman's body is like a flower. It needs water and sunlight. If it lacks something for a long time, it can really cause illness. When she said this, we were all silent. Who here has not experienced loneliness? But if you put loneliness and physiological needs together and then think about the helplessness, you will feel bad. 3 choice in the gray area, the secret agreement of 2 mothers. After Sister Jiang finished speaking, Xiao Chen suddenly laughed. Xiao Chen is the youngest here, only 32 years old. Her husband is an ocean shipping businessman, drifting on the sea all year round, and she and her 5-year-old daughter are the only ones at home. Not as tolerant as you. Xiao Chen held a cigarette in her mouth and spoke directly. If my husband has been gone for a long time, if I want to, I will solve it directly, not hold it in. We all stared at her with wide eyes. Sister Lynn frowned, wanting to say something but not saying it. Xiao Chen blew out a smoke ring and said, "Don't look at me like that. I didn't do anything that was against the law. I just found a regular partner and we helped each other." The partner she was talking about was the father of her daughter's classmate. The man's wife was a teacher in another city and was also away from home all year round, so he was the only one taking care of his son. The 2 met because of a parent-teacher meeting. That day, the teacher said that school uniforms should be bought uniformly. Xiao Chen didn't know what size her daughter wore and she was getting anxious. The man came over and said that his son was about the same height as Xiao Chen's daughter and recommended a size to her. After a few exchanges, the 2 started chatting. After chatting more, they realized that their situations were similar, with their partners away from home all year round and raising their children by themselves. After a small meeting, it was raining heavily outside. The man sent Xiao Chen home. In the car, the man suddenly said, "Actually, I know you have a hard time sometimes, and so do I." Xiao Chen said that her heart skipped a beat at the time, but she didn't say anything, but she understood everything. Since then, the 2 have become special friends. In Xiao Chen's words, they've reached a strategic cooperation agreement. "We have rules," Xiao Chen counted on her fingers. "First, it will never affect the family. He treats his wife well, and I treat my husband well. This cannot change. Second, never take the other person back to your own home. Just find a place outside. and go back to your own home after the event. Third, when the child is at home, never contact, let alone let the child know. She said that the two of them were like carrying out a mission, and every time they contacted, they used a code and sent a message. Is the child asleep? You must think I'm shameless, right? Xiao Kong looked at us with a provocative look. Actually, I felt awkward at first. After the first time, I cried for a long time, feeling sorry for my husband and feeling very dirty, so I washed myself 3 times when I came back. But when her husband postponed his return again and said he would take another voyage, she still contacted the man. It's not that I want to betray anyone. Xiao Chen's voice dropped. I really couldn't stand it. Think about it. I'm only in my early 30s when I'm young and strong, and I haven't had a man around me for a long time. It's okay during the day. I'm busy with my children and work, but when I lie down at night, that empty feeling can drive people crazy. She told us that once her daughter had a fever in the middle of the night, she ran to the hospital alone with the child in her arms. It was raining outside and she couldn't get a taxi. She just walked in the rain with the child in her arms, tears mixed with rainwater flowing down. At that time, she thought if there was a man by her side, even if he didn't do anything, just standing there to give her courage, it would be fine. So I'm with him, not just for that, Xiao Chen said. Sometimes I just want to find someone to talk to, have a meal, or even just sit together and be in a daze for a while so that I don't feel like I'm carrying a family alone. Of course, this kind of relationship is not without risks. One time, the man's wife came back suddenly without saying hello in advance and went directly to the school to pick up the child. She happened to run into Xiao Chen and a man coming out of the school gate together. I was scared at the time. Xiao Chen still feels scared when he thinks about it now. His wife's eyes were like knives, staring at me for a long time. Although she didn't say anything, I knew she must have guessed it. That night, Xiao Chen didn't sleep all night, deleted the chat history, and blacklisted the phone number. But within a week, she couldn't help contacting him again. Her husband sent a message saying that it was originally going to dock, but there was a problem with the boat and it had to be delayed for another month. I know it's not honorable, Xiao Chen put out a cigarette, but sometimes you have no choice. Just like you have to eat when you are hungry and drink water when you are thirsty, you have to solve the physical needs. You can't starve yourself to death just because you are hungry, right? When she said this, none of us spoke. Yes, who is qualified to judge? How can you know other people's difficulties if you haven't experienced their lives? For those unspeakable desires, not just desires. That afternoon tea, we talked from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. The sun had set, the lights in the tea house were on, and we didn't leave. On the way home, I kept thinking about the boiled egg avatar mentioned by Sister Lynn, the toys in Sister Jiang's drawer, and the secret agreement between Xiao Chen and the father. These seemingly unrelated stories are actually talking about the same thing. Women's physiological needs are never as simple as desires. Sister Lynn later told me that the reason she almost made a mistake was not only because of her physical desire, but more because her husband always said busy on the phone and didn't even bother to say a serious word to her. She said that the man on the app, even if it was false, would at least say, "I miss you," to her and ask her, "How was your day today?" Sister Jiang also said that she didn't have to use toys, but every time she video chatted with her husband, he was playing games or said tired and hung up very quickly. She said that sometimes she was dazed at the toys, actually thinking that if her husband could hug her and say, "Thank you for your hard work," like before, she might not feel so uncomfortable. Xiao Chen is the most straightforward. She said that what she wanted was not just to solve her needs, but someone to help her change the light bulb, hand her a tissue when she was crying because of the child, and pour her a glass of water when she was sick. These things can't be given by toys. Strangers on the app can't give them. Only the person who knows the cold and the heat around her can give them. So you see, women's bodies are much more honest than men's. Men may separate desire and emotion, but women are different. Our physical desires often hide our inner expectations, expecting to be noticed, expected to be cared for, expected to be loved. As a psychologist said, women's sexual needs have always been physical and mental. You satisfy not only her body, but also the self in her heart that desires to be seen and cherished. Nowadays, society always says that women should be independent, self-reliant, and able to handle things alone. But no matter how independent a woman is, she is also a person. She also has weak moments, needs to be relied on, and has those little desires that cannot be expressed. Instead of blaming those women who struggle with desire, it is better to think about why they have reached that point. Is it because the person next to them has not given warmth for too long? Is it that the intimacy that should belong to marriage has long been worn away by the trivialities of life? Are our requirements for women too harsh? We want them to be strong women, but also to keep an empty room, to be virtuous and sensible, but also to be free of desire. In fact, whether it is a man or a woman, physiological needs are the most basic instincts, just like eating and sleeping. Acknowledging it does not mean being vulgar. Talking about it does not mean being promiscuous. Solving it does not mean being depraved. What is really important is that we must understand that a good marriage is not achieved by endurance, but by management. Men should not always say, I earn enough to support the family, because women want more than just money. Women should not always say, I am sensible and do not cause trouble, and the needs that should be expressed should be expressed. Just like Sister Lynn said, if her husband could chat with her for 10 more minutes every day, even if it was just about the weather in the United States, she might not download that software. If Sister Jiang's husband could remember her menstrual period and send a message in advance saying, drink more hot water, she might not cry at the toy. If Xiao Chen's husband could think more about her difficulties and transfer back to work on the shore earlier, she might not enter that gray relationship. So don't wait until something goes wrong to regret, and don't wait until the other party can't stand it anymore to wake up. Marriage is like raising flowers. You need to water them every day, expose them to the sun from time to time, and loosen the soil occasionally. If you ignore them for a long time, even the most drought-resistant flowers will wilt. Finally, I want to say something from the bottom of my heart. Family members, whether you're a man or a woman, no matter how many years you've been married, don't forget to care more about the people around you. Sometimes a warm word, a hug, and a serious companionship are more effective than anything else. After all, we are looking for a partner to spend our lives with, not a roommate to live with, right? Let's talk about this today. Some of the words may be a bit straightforward, or even a bit out of line, but they are all our true words. If you have any ideas or similar experiences, please feel free to chat in the comment section. Let's understand each other and support each other.